Hey everybody, welcome to your beautiful table. Today we've got a little bit of a change of venue. I'm here in the utility room and we're going to make a flower arrangement for an entryway table, so stay tuned. Thanks everybody for coming on back. If you're new to the channel, Your Beautiful Table is a YouTube channel and a website all about helping you make your tables beautiful. That includes flower arrangements. And so today I'm going to do the first flower arrangement that we're featuring on Your Beautiful Table, so you're in luck. Hey, stay tuned until the end of the video so you can learn how you can win free candle stuff. So I'm coming to you from the utility room here in my house, and the acoustics are a little bit weird. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to edit the video and fix some of the sound. I know that's really echoey because the floor in here is tile. There is a lot of hard surfaces with these countertops and the cabinetry in here, and this is also where there's a little wine cooler here that's creating some echo. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to figure it out. So bear with me on these first few videos. Also, the lighting is a little bit weird. We have LED track lighting that runs on the ceiling, and it creates these light pools which you're seeing, and so hopefully the light won't be too weird. And I'm going to be orienting myself a little bit to the side, so hopefully you won't see my backside, but maybe you'll see my big muscles in the video today. I'm going to pause really quickly and I'm going to give you a brief tour of my utility room, which has some of my flower supplies in it, so hang on. Okay, so here is the utility sink, which was like a fun thing. Now, y'all, if you're new to the channel, you may not know that I recently moved, and we moved into a house. Now, this green of the utility room is not my favorite, nor is the metallic black granite countertops, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna pan out a little bit so you can see, you know, there's a utility sink here. If we go over to this side, there's the washer and dryer, and we've got the exit, and there's a little pantry here. But the thing that I wanted to show you is, here's another little countertop. We're working on security system stuff, is in this cabinet, and it is my stash of flower stuff. So, you know, you always need containers at the ready. Here on the left-hand side, you'll see champagne buckets. There's a lot of silver plate in there. Tea pitchers. What am I talking about? Like, tea pitchers, tea kettles, tea pots. That's what I'm thinking about. And then there's some glass, recycled glassware, and then some Revereware bowls, and just stacks there. And so I try to keep it organized that way where I can see everything. You'll see there's a little bit of alum spice that's in there, which is great for hydrangeas. So odds and ends, and then I've got a little book and some tape and that kind of thing. So here's my stash of flower supplies in the utility room. Okay, we'll go back to the video now and show you how to make this arrangement. So y'all, fresh flowers can be expensive, and one of the ways that I try to minimize the expense of fresh flowers, especially ordering flowers from a florist, is by making my own tabletop decor. There is a table in our foyer that I wanted to have fresh flowers on. I've been thinking about one of the ways to reduce cost of fresh flowers is to have a green or a blooming plant, and I just didn't find one, and I ran into these flowers yesterday at a local grocery store called the Fresh Market, and they were in great shape, and they also had some greenery that I wanted to pick, so I went ahead and got some. So I think the arrangement itself came in a bouquet. It was it might have been like $12 to $14, and they also had some leather leaf fern that was in a separate little container, and it might have been like $6. So if you can't find some of the materials that we're talking about today, you can get them from a local florist, and they can then you can arrange them at home. So these are basically grocery store flowers. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to have expensive materials in order to make something great. So I have been soaking the materials overnight in a utility bucket. So this is just a mop bucket that I have been soaking the flowers. I bought the flowers, and then I trimmed the bottoms of the flowers so that there was a fresh cut. In the water, I put that flower food that often comes in a bouquet into the water, and then I added water. And so all the flowers have been soaking overnight with that fresh cut so they can absorb water, and I filled it up almost to the rim so that I would have enough water and it wouldn't have to like take a long time for it to soak up. So let me share with you some of the materials. There are different kinds of carns in here and different filler flowers. So carnations, chrysanthemums, and I cannot remember the name of these filler flowers, but what I was looking for was enough to have 3 main flowers, and so the main flowers are going to be these white chrysanthemums, and then I'm going to accent it with these other colors. So when I was looking at the bouquet wrapped around, I was like, are there 3? Because I want to do things in 3s and 5s to create a natural look. Now there are a couple of flowers here that are in 2s, and so I'm going to balance them across the arrangement in 2s. So when you're looking at flower bouquets that are pre-wrapped at the grocery store, you may want to look for, are there odd numbers enough to get you some punch in the arrangement. Okay, so moving on to our filler, or our greenery rather, and the greenery that I'm using is called leatherleaf, and leatherleaf is a kind of fern, and it is pretty common, and the reason why I like it is because you can break it down into smaller pieces. You don't have to use the whole big piece here. So it comes in brackets, it's easy to break off, and then I'm just going to snip this off. So when you get leaves that don't look great, you just sort of snip them off like that. Now I have a knife that you can use to help arrange, and that most florists use a knife when they're working, because that way they can use one hand to cut. I'm not great with the knife, and so I'm going to actually use some clippers here just from Lowe's or Home Depot. I do have some Oasis tape that I might consider using in just a minute. The tape will help hold the Oasis foam down in the container. And the container I'm using is this silver plate container that I picked up at a consignment shop or a antique store, but like junk teak. It's not fancy antique. Although when I was looking at this last night, it says quadruple plate patented in 1904 in teeny tiny letters. So maybe, I don't know, it might be more valuable than I think it is. I'm not going to run it to Antiques Roadshow just yet. So our materials are the bouquet of flowers from the grocery store. I've got a bunch of the leatherleaf fern, and inside of this container I have a piece of Oasis foam, a full-size piece that I've been soaking overnight. This needs to soak at least for like 15 minutes for all of the water to absorb, and the way that you soak your Oasis is that you create a basin or this pool of water and then let it soak down on its own weight. Don't push it down in the water, let it absorb the water and sink down, and that way it'll be sure you won't have any air pockets, and the whole piece of foam will be wet. Now, I'm going to cut this foam. It'll be difficult for me to show you that part out here on the counter because it's going to make a mess, and so I'm going to do it down in the sink. But what I'm going to do is take my container here, and if I were worried about this container leaking, I would put a plastic bag, or if it were a fine container like a cash po that I really wanted not to get messy, I would put a plastic bag or some sort of liner. But this is fine, it'll hold the water, it'll be great. And then I'm going to cut, using my little knife here, I'm going to cut this Oasis brick down into a size that okay, so I have cut the Oasis brick down. You can see I took the brick and I cut it off on one side, and then I used those pieces and cut them down to shimmy in or shim in as wedges, and so that the Oasis will hold itself in there. Now, if the Oasis were a lot taller, or I felt like the arrangement was going to be very high, I would use some florist tape to tape on one side and crisscross across this to hold the Oasis down. But I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. Now I'm going to make sure it's dry. One of the things that's annoying is if you put the tape on here and the tape is wet at all, it won't adhere to the container, and then it will pop back up. Now you just bring it over, and you can tear that with your fingers, bring it over, and then I'm going to really get it on there nice and tight, and then tear off the extra and tuck it down. And so these are the mechanics. You can see that I got it on there nice and tight. It sort of even cuts into the foam a little bit because it's soft. If I were really worried about this and doing it really well, I might do a cross rather than just one in the middle there. And so I'm just gonna put this extra tape here and then move the tape out of the way. The first thing that we're going to do is what I want to call greening in. And greening in is to create a green shape as the basis for our arrangement. And we're going to use the leather leaf to create the greening in. Now I want this arrangement to be like facing the front. It's not going to be all around. And so I'm going to work only on this side and create the arrangement on this side. So what I'm going to do is to create one of these leather leaf ferns is going to be the initial height of the arrangement. And it's not going to be that high because it's going to go on a foyer table, so I don't need it to be terribly high. And then I'm going to use another one as the side to create the width. Now I'm noticing this has been broken right here, and so what I'm going to do is actually just trim this off and use this later because I didn't want it to flop over. And so these are fun because you can break down the sides, and I'll show you what I mean. If you break them down, just creates little pieces that you can use in your arrangement. And so if you make a boo-boo with leather leaf, these little brackets, I think they're called brackets, the little brackets can be used on their own. And so I'm just going to go around the edge of the arrangement, pushing in these little green brackets here in the front. I'm going to take some of these off. They just snip right off. So leather leaf, that's why you see it commonly used. It holds up really well, and it lasts a long time, and it's easy to use, and it's economical too. So I'm going to take a fresh one here because I want to get my sides the right length. Ta-da! There's the right and the right side. Just pull this off. And there's the left side. And you can begin to see how I'm creating like the point of view on this side. All right, so now I'm just going to green in a little bit more. I'm going to take these brackets off. But I'm going to just fill in a little bit here, creating more of a fan around the back, like this. And then I'm going to come out this way. So using some greenery. And basically what I want to do is try to cover all of the, you don't have to totally camouflage all of the foam, but I want to try to camouflage as much of the foam as I can. And I'm creating a middle point here where it seems like the fern is radiating out. It's sort of like making a little green bush. Like this. And then, I don't know, maybe one more. Like that. Okay. So this is how I've greened in. I'm gonna look for holes. It's like a nail in still magnolias. I see a hole. And you just keep making minor adjustments so that the arrangement is like, so the foam is camouflaged and it looks good. So you don't want it to like show backstage at any point if it's camouflaged, but you also don't want to like be crazy and green in too much. All right, so I think we're ready for our feature flowers. So I like to start with the feature flowers and then fill in. And what I'm going to do is use these chrysanthemums as the feature flower. And the mums, there are 3 white mums, and I'm looking to see which one is the largest one. And the largest one is going to go on the bottom because it makes sense in your mind that the heavier one would go on the bottom of the plant and not be heavy up top. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to kind of put it here in the center, but off to the side. I'm not going to put it right in the middle. And I'm going to take all of these leaves off. I might leave that. Well, I'm going to take it off too. I'm just going to take all the leaves off because they're not very attractive on this plant, and that will help preserve the. I'm actually going to cut it down a little bit more. I'm going to nestle it down and in. And then which one? This one I think is the next one. So I'm cutting these pretty short because I'm getting them really down and low into the arrangement. But just know that, you know, it's easier to, you can never add length back on to a stem. And so it's easier if you cut it long and then have to cut it again rather than cutting it too short and sort of ruining the length. Cleaning it up there, and then a third one I'm just going to put in like this. So we've created the look of 3 here, boom, 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 and sort of heavy, medium, and light. All right, now I'm going to work in some of these yellow flowers, and so these came in groups of 3. Sometimes the mums are in these odd groups that it's hard to get them all out. So I think it's too heavy, too much color in one place for a group of 3, and I've got 2 of them. And so, you know, you don't have to use all of the flowers that you come with. You could put them in another small bouquet. And so what I might do is think about, you know, like spreading them out here now. And so at least maybe 5. All right, so let me find a nice long one here. And I'm going to have it turn up the way that the flower should face up. Just work it in. And putting them in at like different depths creates some fun dimension to your arrangement. So they don't all have to be on the same plane. And you can have some that are in different stages of opening, so it makes it look really nice and natural. This one I'm going to put a little bit longer and bring it up top. So it comes out a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll do a 5th one over to the side. Let's see if I can break that one down. These little bitty ones I can put into a bud vase and reuse them. This is the one that I wanted. I'm going to put it in here. Bring it over to the side. Now, so this is fun, right? So we've got this front-facing arrangement that is like white and yellow. It's nice and fresh. Now let's think about our other flowers. Now, there are some filler flowers that came in. God, I can't remember the name of these. So you can see how these are big and open, and the scale of them might be too big for our arrangement. However, these are similar flowers, and they're a little bit closed. So I'm going to use these instead of these big pink flowers as my filler. And there are 2 bright pink chrysanthemums. So I'm going to do the bright pink chrysanthemums on opposite sides. One up nice and tall. Let's see. Actually, cut it again. this one, this fern piece, I'm gonna take out and rearrange because I want it to, it was getting in my way. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller and tuck it in a little bit more. The other currant I'm going to bring down low. Like this, so we've kind of got this diagonal line. Now friends, if I were buying these flowers myself, I would have bought 3 carnations, or at least 3, but I wanted to use the flowers that were available to me and also show you how you can use flowers that come in a bouquet at the grocery store. So that's why I'm just gonna, we're gonna use what we've got. All right, so now we're ready for some filler flowers, and I'm breaking these down. So rather than using them as a whole big bunch, which you might do if you had a very large arrangement, I'm going to use these as sort of line flowers to create some dimension. So line is going to create height and width. Side to side, and then I'm going to use them to fill in a couple of places. Here in the middle. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. And maybe I'll come down some. You know, I've got this, when you've got the flowers, I tend to overfill. Like that's my, okay. Now, this is beginning to look like it's almost done. I'm going to take a look at it. Just turning everything so it's facing out. See what needs to happen. And I want to add a piece of fern right there for symmetry. Okay, let me get this stuff out of the way so that you can see. You know, arranging flowers does make a lot of mess. They had this, it's some kind of eucalyptus, and they had this eucalyptus in the bouquet, and I'm thinking about adding it in there. Just as an additional green texture. which adds additional dimension and visual interest to your arrangement. Okay. All right, so I think we're okay. Let me back away. Yeah, so this is a lot of fun. So as you can hear my shoes squeaking. As I was making this arrangement, I was dropping water down. I'll have to wipe up in just a second. So this is our front-facing floor arrangement. I'll spin it around so you can see that it is like, only on this side. The back side still shows the mechanics, but you cannot see that at all. And so I'll put a picture into this arrangement to show you where I'm going with it. Let me see. So I finish my arrangements with Clear Crowning Glory Solution. It is a sealer that you just spray on your arrangement like this, and it helps to hold the moisture in your flowers, and I find that it works really well. So there is some water in the container, but now that I'm finished arranging, I will add additional water, and you just keep adding water as long as your flowers stay looking good. If your flowers begin to fade, you can pull them out one by one, reset, and make them look symmetrical. But overall, friends, I think this is pretty good for almost like a $15 flower arrangement. Looks like, something much more bespoke and personalized that you might get from a florist. I'll put a picture now in the video so you can see where it looks like all set up. Friends, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter for free candle stuff. I'll put a link in the newsletter or to the newsletter below. Thanks everybody for joining, and give us a thumbs up if you like our very first flower arranging video here at Your Beautiful Table. See you next time.